Warm greetings from the Fulbright Finland Foundation, and welcome to the Fulbright Specialist Program Q&A session for aspiring hosts, also from my behalf. And my name is Heidi Tiainen, and I'm here together with Mirka and our super hosts. And so let's first talk about the Fulbright Finland Foundation for a bit. So the Fulbright Finland Foundation is an independent, private, not-for-profit foundation which supports the internationalization of education and research in Finland and helps Finnish and US institutions create linkages. The foundation provides advising, training, and information services for students, researchers, and working professionals. And we offer altogether over 50 grant programs for research, lecturing, partnership building, as well as for professional development. And these grants are offered for all disciplines and professional fields. And while we are here to talk about how your institution could benefit from the Fulbright Specialist Program, we also encourage you to explore the other grant programs that you or your colleague could take advantage of. For instance, the application period is now open for Finnish scholars and professionals to conduct research or pursue a professional project in the US during the academic year 2022 to 23. And as most of you already know, Fulbright grantees are cultural ambassadors and future change makers whose projects have potential for a large impact while building bridges between the US and Finland. And this also applies to all the Fulbright specialists.
Thank you, Heidi. So the Fulbright Specialist Program is part of the global Fulbright program that provides opportunities for diverse institutions around the world to host a highly experienced American academic or professional to exchange knowledge, build host institution capacity, and promote long-lasting international collaboration. And it is administered by the Fulbright Finland Foundation in Finland and by the World Learning Organization in the US. And it is completely a field-driven initiative in which host institutions design a short-term 2 to 6 week project that addresses a specific need or priority at their respective organization. So there's a lot of flexibility in designing projects, as long as they have some kind of education or training focus and concrete objectives that can be achieved over the course of the specialist's brief visit. And while there are 6 priority areas listed for the current application round on our Fulbright Specialist Program website, there are over 20 eligible disciplines within the program. The Fulbright Specialist Program is a cost share program. The World Learning Organization arranges and administers specialists' return flights from US to Finland and back, a travel allowance, and a daily honorarium of $200 for each day of the program. They also provide a small health benefit for the duration of the program. The host institutions, on the other hand, are responsible for arranging and paying for housing, in-country transportation, airport pickups and drop-offs, as well as meals. And the meals actually means that the hosts have to arrange or budget for 3 meals a day, weekends included. And at the minimum, the budgeted allowance for meals per day should be the Finnish government per diem rate, which during 2021 is 44 euros. So Finnish institutions have the opportunity to submit an application for a specialist who's already included in the Fulbright Specialist roster that the World Learning Organization manages, or they can submit an open application and have the World Learning match a specialist with the right expertise for the proposed project. US scholars or professionals who wish to serve as Fulbright specialists, they need to submit their application to the World Learning Organization that coordinates the peer review process for the interested experts. And you can learn more about the process from the World Learning Organization website. And if the host institution wants to invite an expert who's not yet in the roster, the expert should submit application for the roster by January 12th, 2022. And these peer review panels evaluate applications to join the Fulbright Specialist Program approximately every 8 weeks. And if you submit an application for a specialist not yet included in the roster, we encourage you to make a note about the date when the expert submitted the application for the roster or finds out about the acceptance for the roster. And if applicable, we also recommend noting that your institution will consider other Fulbright specialists with the relevant expertise in the event that the expert requested is not approved for the roster. So applications are now actually accepted for projects that are planned to take place between mid-August 2022 and the end of September 2023. But depending on the COVID-19 situation, more flexibility may become available with the timing of the project. And the deadline for Finnish institutions to apply for the program is March 1st, 2022. And I'll be answering questions about the application process, program administration during the question and answer session. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to true experts of the Fulbright Specialist Program. So our first speaker will be Marina Wikman, Senior Lecturer and International Coordinator from the Satakunta University of Applied Sciences, who coordinated the Fulbright Specialist Project in 2017 with John Donnellan, Associate Professor from the New Jersey City University. And as you can see in this photo, John made some friends in high places during his stay. The mic is yours, Marina.
Thank you very much, Mirka. And it was such a clear explanation of the practicalities, how to apply, because I'm more specialized, talking more about what it can bring you when you have a Fulbright specialist for a couple of weeks in your university. And of course, in this case, it was Satakunta University of Applied Sciences, and I work in Rauma. So my faculty is Faculty of Logistics and Maritime Technology. Next, please. Okay, so what happened, how we got our specialist, he happened to be on the roster, so that was good. So we actually met in China. So Dr. Donnellan is from New Jersey City University, and he was teaching at our Chinese partner. So we met there and we realized that we actually share quite a few common interests, especially, like I said, my faculty is logistics. So supply chain was something that was also important at New Jersey. So we started talking and exploring opportunities to work together, to do something together. So that was the first meeting. And of course, the discussion continued after the meeting, both of us in our countries. And I want to talk a little bit about the application just on a general level. So there is a form that you need to fill in, and honestly, you have to be careful with that. There are quite a few things that you have to fill in and you have to consider them thoroughly. But then again, I would say that it guides you, so it helps you. What should I consider? What are the things that still need to be taken into account to actually make this a success and cover all the angles? And it really supports you in planning as well, because sometimes we just think, okay, yes, comes here, teaches, or he does research, whatever, and that's it. But the form helps you to make it more realistic. So what else should you consider, or what are the details to consider? And then planning, of course, I would say as many details in advance as possible. I'm sure many of you also have the experience that sometimes we think we did a good job, And then when it actually happens, whatever it is, then we realize, oh, we forgot about that. So very careful planning, the forum helps you with that. But also when you plan what you really want to do with a specialist, so do it together with a specialist if you know them. And university administration and also the faculty that will be collaborating with the incoming specialist, because very often people are not double agents like I am. So I work partly in administration and I'm also a teacher. So there might be things that the teaching faculty doesn't really know about, and they need the administration there. And administration sometimes can just apply for something and then realize, oh, we don't have the person who actually can do this for one reason or another. Next, please. Okay, so what we did with Dr. Donnellan was, first of all, the basic things. So he taught quite a few different groups there, talking about business in the US, but he also gave talks to Rauman Yrittäjät and the local Chamber of Commerce. So quite a few entrepreneurs had a chance to learn about business in the USA from an expert. But the main thing was really planning the project. So there were teachers who were logistics and supply chain, and then we also worked together with Port of Rauma. The pictures from the visit that we made there. So, and it was about logistics operations in the Port of Rauma and comparing it with two ports in the USA, which either operate to Rauma or from Rauma. So they really learned a lot of information about the operations in the ports. And it was really done online with mixed student groups. So there were students from New Jersey and students from Satakunta working together online. And of course, we wanted to provide him a taste of Finland, like you saw in the first picture. So we took him orienteering. He was a good sport altogether. Next, please. Okay, and what happened after the visit? Because the visit is a couple of weeks. So it could be like any teacher exchange. Okay, nice couple of weeks having a US specialist there, but you can always take advantage of what is there, what kind of opportunities you see, and then continue cooperation. And I think that is really something that we should consider. So with the price that we pay for that, it's really a lot of benefits. First of all, we signed a contract with New Jersey, and we have already renewed it. So it was this year. Then we did another project for Laitilan virvoitusjuomatehdas. And the funny thing there was because they really wanted to research gluten-free beer and how consumers would appreciate that in the US. And the US party needed a university permission because the students would deal with alcoholic beverage. We never even thought about that, but that was a lesson to be learned. And that was okay then, but still. Then we have done a student project on impact of culture when creating business plans. So there were our students, their students, and they checked what would be different if you created a business, started a business in either country. And it was, of course, laws and rules and regulations, all that comes into play, but also what do people expect because they are from different cultures. Then we've had online lectures both ways. And last year we had an online conference, Supply Chain in a Digital World. And there were two professors from New Jersey who gave a talk there. Next, please. And then how the future looks like. We have an international summit in December. You're all welcome. And Dr. Donnellan will be there to talk about online collaboration between universities when companies are included into that. So it has been our projects that we've done. And we have agreed that we do online lectures both ways again. Then we are actually drafting an article it's not really a scientific article, but it's about the collaboration that we've had, not only telling about the different projects that we've done, but more talking about the online collaboration between the faculties, so between the two of us. So what do we need to take into account? What is important? Where the challenges might lie? Of course, it's different for every person, but still generally in teaching, you have to consider these things. So I would say Fulbright specialist program, it's really important. It's very beneficial. It gives you so many advantages. So it gives you opportunities to do so many things during it, but also afterwards. And I really would like to focus on this afterwards, because that gives the real credit for the program. You can continue, you can find new ways. So even if maybe applying is quite much work, well, not too much, I mean, there are more complicated things, then it is really worthwhile, because you can get so much more than just a couple of weeks exchange. Thank you very much. Do you have questions afterwards, maybe? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marina, and we'll take questions afterwards then. And now I'll give the floor to Dr. Maria Airaksinen, who's a professor of social pharmacy and head of clinical pharmacy group at the University of Helsinki Faculty of Pharmacy. And she has coordinated 4 Fulbright specialist projects and mentored new hosts. So your floor is yours, Maria.
Thank you very much, Mirka. And sorry for my voice. I hope that this should not be Corona, but it's good that we are remote here. But anyway, I hope that my voice will be okay. And can you hear me now well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and good afternoon to all. And I can congratulate to everyone who are here listening to this session and learning about this excellent program. And I can also recommend, like Marina Wilkman, that it is worthwhile to make the application and have this kind of visitors in your team. At least we can say also from our experience, and that it has changed a lot what we are doing today as a part of the University of Helsinki and part of our faculty. And our mission is to promote rational use of medicines and promote patient and medication safety in healthcare. And now, as we are moving towards this new social and health services system, we are also focusing on that to see how we can make the medicine use safe there. And what we are doing today is very much what we have cooperated with our colleagues from the States and also from other places. But I can say that this cooperation has its roots in my postdoc training at Maryland, Rockville, Maryland. And it's quite long roots, but anyway, maybe we can have the next slide. I had great colleagues at that time in that organization. It's a non-profit organization that was closely working with FDA, different universities, one of them being Johns Hopkins at Baltimore. And so I had that kind of good mentor from that time, and he introduced me to this colleague from the University of Baltimore, who had his roots at Johns Hopkins. And when we met at Baltimore, he was saying he had his folder with his CV and Fulbright specialist program. And I had never heard about this kind of program. And he suggested that he would be very willing to come to University of Helsinki to work in our unit as a specialist. And then I said, okay, you are very welcome. And then it took a while before we got started with planning. But so next spring, it was like a fall time. And in the spring he came and giving a course. And during that time, we had an opportunity to to start planning what would be the mutual interests and how we can create a project that would be useful for us and also useful for him in his own career and work at his own university. And so it became that kind of journey that has now led to this 4 hosted Fulbright specialist projects that are all in a way interconnected. So it has been that kind of process that is related to development of our unit that was just established at the time when all this happened in 2004, when we had these roots for this cooperation. And so we have had this that kind of path here, that we have had these both specialists twice visiting here, the 6 weeks periods. And I could recommend that if it's possible that you can have them for 6 weeks, it will be maybe better, because then you will have more time to focus on a project. But even 2 weeks, it can make a big change, so that you can work together on site and create something that is heading towards the future. And because if it's like a short meeting where you can start cooperating, but really making it happen, there need to be that kind of time together and make this kind of strong bonds that will lead to real like outcomes of that work. So we can have the next slide. And here are some hints from me also for you who are planning on applying, what will be useful to take into consideration. And I'm very grateful also for these specialists. Both of them have been very helpful in creating the application. At least the first time, I think it was something new for me, and so their expertise and also Fulbright Center. I need to thank also Fulbright Center for all the help we have always received that we have needed for processing the application. So it is, if it's possible, so that involve your potential specialist candidate in the project planning. So as also Marina Wikman mentioned, then you will receive a shared vision of the project and what could be the short-term and long-term outcomes of your cooperation. So and also, what do you want to achieve, and what is then the level of commitment from both sides? I think that makes a very crucial point for successful cooperation and program. And then also how you schedule the project and the visit. And at least what I have learned through these 4 cases that I have to share. So it's important that don't make too ambitious program and full schedule. We have the form where to fill in. At least first I was a little bit uncertain how much I need to have program here, what is enough so that it will be competitive application. But now I have learned lessons on that, so that we can trust that if our idea is good, the goal is good, and it is realistic plan, and it will also we can say that it is leading to that kind of outcomes that are notable, then that is enough, so that you don't need to make it too ambitious in that way. And also it's important to remember that the specialist may have some work to do for his home organization while in Finland, so that make sure that you also agree on that. So how to integrate that with the program. And then also what is important, the social part of the program. And I could say that it is at least as important as professional program, as also Marina Wilkman was mentioning about all these activities you had in Rauma and that area and your own organization. We made the same, and also so that they it is about cultural exchange, so that what we want to share about Finland with these visitors, they are eager to learn about our cultural issues, but also how Finns live and what is, for example, if we live in Helsinki area, what is behind our this highway 3, what we can show from the nature and other parts of Finland. So please also negotiate here what they would like to see and experience here, and also be creative during the visit. And also very important is that you can find a cozy and convenient place to stay, and universities are very helpful, and also Fulbright Center to find a good way to organize this. And also very important is the easy access by public transportation or other ways of commuting, so that how your specialist can easily go from one place to another. And I could say that this is very important. You should really put your effort to find the place. It doesn't need to be very fancy, but so that it is cozy to live, and also easy access to places where you are planning that your specialist is going from there. Okay, we can take the next one. And then about working with a specialist. So it's very important from the beginning, when you start negotiating about the mutual project, that you make your specialist feel as a respected part of your team, and also that you will involve him or her in your networks, meetings, events, and also family activities. And maybe this comes when they are here at that time. You can negotiate also that part beforehand, and so that listen carefully what their wishes are, maybe what are their hobbies or interests, and then based on that start planning also how you are making this networking and about, yeah, so that they are part of your team really. And also it's important that you will let the specialist be active participant and contributor. So I'm sure that you will have some special events planned, like seminars, courses where they are teaching and other things, but also otherwise, so that you will make space for them to share their thoughts and their presentations. And I think this is evolving all the time. It's like a process when they come here, and after that, what is happening, so that you listen carefully and can in a way react based on these events and activities. And I can say that even like cooking meals for student parties, preparing professional events together, or even making a night round in a hospital ward with a local physician can be that kind of unforgettable experiences that will really make a big change. So that very much like intuitive work also. And show appreciation, respect also to the values of your specialist, and listen carefully what your specialist want to learn and experience during the visit. And it's also important to schedule regular follow-up meetings. I think that is important to already have them in your plan application for that you submit, and make a plan for future steps before your specialist will return back home, so that you know how you will continue the cooperation, what will be the outcomes of in long term, if it's like an article, or for example, what we were aiming at was a research center in medication safety in Finland. And actually it was 2019, after the 4th visit, we were able to establish that as part of HUS pharmacy and Helsinki University Hospital Pharmacy, and it is working well. We have more than 10 PhD students at the moment there, and a lot of other activities that are improving patient and medication safety, not only at HUS region, but nationally and also internationally. And so that to say it is important that the visit will be an exciting adventure for your specialist and also yourself. So that trust your intuition. So that it is a lot of work and commitment also from your side if you have like a visitor for 6 weeks, but have that attitude that it is something like adventure for yourself too, and something unique that you can build on in your work for a long time with your colleagues, and also so make it that way for your colleagues and students. And is there something else left? Okay, so this is my last slide. And here you can see these two outstanding, amazing Fulbright specialists. The first one was Professor Alan Liles from the University of Baltimore, who has this long career at Johns Hopkins Medical School. And so he is the person who started all this cooperation we have at the moment. And so I can say that they both have the feeling that they have a second home in Finland. And actually, Professor Liles, then he has mentored Dr. Kenneth Shermock from the Johns Hopkins Hospital. And that is how we then invited Dr. Shermock to visit here. And he liked it so much that he also felt that he wants to make another 6 weeks visit here in 2019. And now he is eagerly waiting what will be the next steps in our cooperation. And also his family, both of them have also brought their families visiting Finland several times. And you can see here our PhD students and faculty members. So it has been a really great experience for all of us. And here also this young junior PhDs that have made very good cooperation with, for example, Professor Liles, but also with Dr. Shermock. And here you can see Dr. Shermock. It was the opening reception when they arrived at the year 2019 in May. And so we have shared many kind of experiences, road trips in countryside, midsummer fests, all kind of things. And I think it's been all refreshing. And also for me, as a Finn, it's been great to share all these kind of places. I grew up in the farm, and also take them to the farm and farm countryside to show them what is happening there. And for example, Dr. Liles have been saying that he thought that this kind of countryside never, not anymore exists before he saw it in Finland, and he thought that it is only in movies where you can experience this. So it's been that kind of journey for us, and I really highly recommend that who are now listening to this introduction by Fulbright Center would also start this kind of journey of their own. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing your experiences. So as all of you have heard, we have a lot of hosting and program expertise present in this Zoom, and now it's time for your questions. So feel free to just unmute yourself and ask your question. We want to keep this event as informal as possible, and if you prefer, you are also welcome to type your questions in the chat, and you can ask your questions or present your comments in Finnish or English. Everything goes.
If you allow, while people are thinking of their questions, I would want to say something about what Maria said, because I completely agree with her. So involving the person who comes in with in everything that is happening in the university. So not leaving that person kind of outsider. So when there are coffee breaks or whatever, so they should be included into that. It's important, because otherwise they might feel a bit lonely. But then again, the other side that Maria also mentioned, was that they might be busy with their own work as well. So don't make the program too busy for them, and check what they want to do, because it might be that they are exhausted after you hosting so well. So it was just something I wanted to comment on.
Yes, yeah, that is very important to listen to their wishes in that sense also, how much program they want. Maybe they want to have the evenings for themselves, or at least some of the evenings, and not so that don't organize too much program. Yeah, that's very important. Fully agree.
Excellent comment.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raimo Salo. I come from the Oulu University Teacher Training School. First and foremost, thank you for the organizers to have this kind of a event for us interested about the program, and a very special thanks for both presenters of your wonderful experiences, which at least have encouraged me more and more to present the idea to our management. We've had earlier, not of this program itself, but we've had a teacher coming from Asia about 2 years ago, obviously before COVID-19, who stayed with us for 8 weeks. So we have sort of tasted and a little bit of experience of hosting a guest or a colleague rather in our school. And the experience gained from that visit was quite encouraging in a way. But after hearing your wonderful practical tips and hints how to plan and how to take care of the guest during the visit, and especially what happened and has happened in your organizations afterwards, I have realized that we have a lot of homework to do for the further and future possible visits. And once again, thank you. This was a very good experience for me to hear more about the program, and we will certainly seriously consider this one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And we actually have one of our Fulbright specialists joining us today. Dr. Sipak, would you like to share some comments as well?
Yes, it's early in the morning here and the sun is barely up, so I would say huva huamenta. Yes, I would like to make some comments. I've been to Finland many times, and after coming back and not being able to go back for a few years, I've come to the conclusion that at Case Western Reserve University, we need to make more of an effort to bring scholars here to the United States. And I don't know how the specialist program works in reverse, but I think it would work very nicely if we had many of our different schools aware of the Fulbright program. I also was able to connect 2 of the scholars from Finland to our university here, one in the history department and one in the sciences department. And so we're planning on hosting these individuals in their travels here to come to Cleveland. And we are also had to begin at the dean's level in the medical school to bring the Fulbright program to the attention of the dean. And his knowledge of the program was not extensive, and that's being polite. And then I went through various middle level managements to the chair of the chair of the Council of Clinical Chairs. And our plan is to do a survey of all of the clinical departments to make them aware of the Fulbright Exchange program. And at the same time, I had some discussion with Jari Patea, who some of you may know over at Helsinki University Hospital. He's the acting chief medical officer and will soon return to his job of chief of pediatrics. But he and I have been good friends for many years. And we have come to the conclusion that he would like to see more physicians coming to Helsinki University Hospital. He said that there have been lots of emphasis on nursing and social sciences, which is very important. And at the same time, he would also like to see physicians join in the process. And also, we have kind of a three-way partnership with Aalto University and CASE and Helsinki University Hospital. And our focus as we're moving ahead is healthcare reform, not only in Finland, but also in the United States. It's a very embryonic project, but I think in terms of the previous comment that was made, there's a lot of homework that must be done, and that is true. So we're slowly going through the process of making a catalog of all of the Fulbright scholars that have come to CASE, not just from Finland. There have actually been 244 of them. We're focusing on countries, and we're also focusing on the subject material so that we can then pass this along to the rest of our potential scholars on this side to see if we can create bilateral dialogue with different departments and different disciplines. But it takes a lot of email and a lot of effort and a lot of computer review. So maybe I should stop here, but I think that the nice thing about it is with the internet and Zoom and that now, it becomes a little bit easier to evolve the projects and continue them.
And I would just like to thank you for all the promotion that you're doing over there, and also how you're connecting individuals who might benefit from the Fulbright programs with each other. So we really appreciate all the work you do as our ambassador.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to do it.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay, it's me again. I was just thinking what Dr. Sivak was saying. It's not only that in the US people might not know very much about the program. So I think it's also our duty to let our institutions understand what this brings as opportunities, because at least I know about our university that there are not too many people who know about the program and the opportunities. So I think we should really try and make it better known, all of us.
And may I ask from Dr. Sivak, how did you get to Finland, decide to come to Finland in the first time? What was the motivation of, and we are very grateful that happened, but I was just curious to know how it happened.
If you give me 2 minutes, maybe I need 3. My first visit to Finland was in 1986. And I was involved in a project to try and make an information management system for the intensive care unit. And the only company in the world that was halfway interested was the Kone Corporation when they had their instrument division. And just by chance, one of the representatives from the Kone Corporation introduced me to a fellow whose name is Erkki Vermo, who you may or may not know who he is, but he's been around for a long time. And he and I became good friends, and we exchanged a lot of different ideas over the years. And then in 2013, I came to Finland, even though I had been there about 7 times before that. And he had a seminar on Healthcare 2025. I presented my viewpoints. And then there was an economist there from Aalto. His name was Temo Malmi. And so he became my host at Aalto in the School of Business. And our focus was looking at the cost of healthcare and comparing Finland to the United States. And so these projects gradually evolved. It was almost, in a sense, it was like peeling an onion. So as you would take off one layer, then you would find something else to do, and on and on and on. And so I think the main thing is that if you can identify a project that perpetuates itself, then different avenues open up. But it's very important to have continued dialogue. And I've actually been able to do that basically with email. And we still have one project that we're evolving at Helsinki University Hospital, and another one that we're going to try to do on the policy level. The biggest challenge is to define concrete questions around a project. And secondly, is that when you define them, access to data is a big challenge in terms of putting it together. So I'll take a long time if I don't be quiet, but this is how it all happened. And I can outline the steps, I can send them to you in email, and even the necessity to have a dialogue with oneself around the questions, even before you involve others, is extremely important.
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit what has happened to us also. And actually, when this first visit, Fulbright visit, became true, I had started as a professor at the University of Helsinki. It was a new discipline. I needed to start from scratch. And I also felt that this was like sending an angel, like a mentor for me from other part of the world, who has been supporting me a lot to find the direction that has been very useful also, I could say, here in patients and think about medicine use, safe medicine use. But I never would have done those things without that kind of support that has been possible through this Fulbright program, and also those persons who have been willing to help and take that time from their busy schedules. And I always thought, for example, with Dr. Lyles, that maybe he's so busy that I don't even dare ask his favor or something. And he was then sending a message, okay, I could do, and I have done something for this. So it was like that kind of mutual interest and a lot of help. And also for students, so they have benefited a lot. And they have been now able to find very nice positions in our health system. And in a way, the mission is going, how to say, so they're disseminating the same message that we have been able to learn.
And in a similar way, we do have Fulbright Finland grants for partnership building, institutional partnership building, as well as travel grants for research collaboration. So those are some short-term grant opportunities that can then be used to, for example, by US institutions to invite Finns over. So that's another vessel to keep in mind when thinking about these partnership building opportunities. Any other questions or comments? If not, I just really want to thank you all for your active participation today. And as a wrap up, I would really appreciate if you could type in the chat what was your best takeaway from the session today. We'll stop the recording now, and Heidi and I will stay on the line for a little bit if you have any questions